Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Sharpen the spikes of thine blue shell and peel your bananas. Battle mode is upon us. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including an Ed Sheeran song for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And then on Thursday, we're doing the ABCs of Nintendo 64. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. Patrick, do I look a little lighter on my feet to you? Do I look just a little more lithe than I did the last time you saw me?
Oh, no, you don't. What, did you lose a body part or something? What happened?
Kind of. A mole that I've had since birth that was on like the back of my neck that was at the perfect angle or like the perfect placement where when I would go to get a haircut, the little like covering they put on you, the reverse cape shield, I'm sure there's a name for it, that they put on you so that way the hair doesn't get all over your body.
Wait, in what way is it a reverse cape, though? Like, it's just, it's like a mega cape because it goes around your whole, like, front and back, right?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I
just go around
guess,
your front?
I guess it goes around the back. No, you're right. It does. It goes over the shoulders. You're right.
Yeah.
It's a mega cape. You're right. No. You're of course you're right.
A reverse cape is just an apron.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. So this mole was at like the perfect spot where it would go right under the mega cape, the fold of the mega cape, and so so I cannot tell you over my lifetime to this point how many times it's been accidentally like nicked or something like that. But I just lived with it. But now, not anymore. Gone, baby. It's gone.
Wow. Wouldn't you ever get those? You know, there's like sometimes that sort of like light foam thing that they like put around your neck where like the cape comes in contact with your neck. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't. Are you getting like a straight razor like cleanup back there? Is that what's going on?
Mark, what kind of haircut do you think I get? No. Well, Mark, you look great. I'm happy to be recording with you again. And I'm glad to know that this minor inconvenience is no longer on your neck anymore.
I guess I'm like Matt Damon. I'm no longer a mole man. Do you remember when Matt Damon used to have like a lot of moles and then he just stopped one day? I guess similar to me, he had them removed.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, you're like Matt Damon.
Thank you.
Which does not make me Ben Affleck. I don't want. That is not something that we should start. That's not part of this. The show is many things. What?
Platypussy.
Look, there are only so many vile attacks against my character I can fend off at one time. Speaking of vile attacks against my character, the Sonic Forces borrowing program. Would you like to participate? Would you like to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch? Play it for as long as you want and then send it back to me? You can do all of those things. All you gotta do is email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com and give us a mailing address where I can send you my copy of Sonic Forces. There may be a box that says Sonic Forces on it, but inside, Sonic Forces isn't there. Untitled Goose Game is instead. That's fine. You don't have to worry about it. Either way, you play the game for as long as you want. You send it back. I pay for postage both ways. It costs you nothing. It's the perfect borrowing program.
Here is another thing you can do. You can friend us on Switch. You can find our both Patrick and both Patrick and Mize.
Take me out of it and see how you would say it, and then add Patrick and so how would you say it if it was just yours?
My friend code.
Okay, great. So now go back and just add Patrick and then the same sentence.
You can find Patrick and my friend codes
That's correct.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah, it is.
In the show notes of every episode, add us on Switch, and it'll just make hanging out together in Splatoon that much easier, or any other online game.
Yeah, one thing that has been very, or that we just kind of started, just kind of like re-upped on, uh, doing Ring Fit Adventure. Some of the people in our Discord, which you should also join, get in our Discord, send us a message, either email or Twitter. Let us know that you'd like to be invited in. We will send you an invite, and then you can hang out on Discord. But in the Discord, we are holding each other accountable to spend some time in Ring Fit Adventure, and it was a delight this morning to see some of my friends in Ring Fit Adventure, and like we were able to hold each other accountable that way. Was a very good time. It's just a nice way to connect in like a pretty passive way, to just be like, I can see what other people are doing, or see what other games people are playing, and who knows, Mark or I may be playing some like weird things, and you just want to like see what we're up to. Do you want to see how I broke the 400-hour barrier on Tetris 99? 420 hours at this point, Mark.
That's amazing.
It just keeps going up. We'll never stop. All right, but we need to get to talking about what we've been playing this week. So let's talk about what we've been playing this week. Mark, I am now more sincerely, more honestly, more intensely in to Shovel Knight Dig. When last we spoke, I had messed around with it a little bit and was like, oh, okay, I get it. It feels like, it's a roguelike using Shovel Knight mechanics. But as is the case with most roguelites, I was not the systems weren't immediately apparent to me, right? I didn't have a preference for certain boons or power-ups. I was really just like, there are choices that you make along the way, where you're like, do you go into like the second world that you go into is different. You have to choose between which of these two worlds you're going to engage with, which have separate bosses at the end, and like there are different things that appear in all of them. So now, Mark, I'm getting really into the headspace of Shovel Knight Dig. And when I'm not playing it, or when I'm playing something else, I'm like, I could just be playing Shovel Knight Dig. The gameplay loop is so fun and so rewarding, and my runs are getting like longer and longer. I have yet to like finish a run, right? Like I haven't gotten to the end of a single run yet, but I am getting deeper and deeper. I believe each run is 4 worlds long, and I've gotten into the 4th world. But get destroyed pretty early on. But like back when I started, I wasn't able to like beat the first boss. So like, I'm definitely improving, and I just really love the game. The hub world, or it's not a hub world, but like the place that you return to, also becomes more interesting over time, and so I've been enjoying like messing around with that too. And there's also a daily challenge leaderboard, which I'm finding very satisfying and fun. Over the weekend on Saturday, I got number 6 in the world.
Wow.
On Saturday's leaderboard. So that felt great. Overall, my leaderboard positioning is like, like 10,000 or something. But it's super fun. I'm really enjoying it, and it feels like Infinite Shovel Knight, which is probably all I've ever wanted out of a video game.
That's awesome. The way that you've gotten into this and the way you're describing it kind of reminds me of Hades, and how much you like really like that and found the gameplay loop extremely satisfying. Maybe you just really like good roguelikes.
Well, yeah, maybe I just like good roguelikes. That's probably right. Maybe I just like good games. I don't know. I'm one of those weird.
That's interesting.
But like, there definitely is something to that. Like, I do like the sort of loop of a roguelike game, but I think I need something else, right? I need another hook. And for me, like Hades had the way it like told the story and just those incredible character designs. that that really hooked me. And then Shovel Knight has built-in hooks for me because I like the aesthetics of Shovel Knight, right? Um, so if there's a rogue-like game in a like genre, or like aping an IP that I already have an investment in, like I should just play those.
I have not played Shovel Knight Dig, but a podcast I listen to, the Super Marcato Bros video game music podcast, they are huge fans of the composer of many Shovel Knight. I think all of like the kind of like main Shovel Knight games, including Shovel Knight Dig, Jake Kaufman. And they did this past week, I think it was, just like an episode completely devoted to the soundtrack of Shovel Knight Dig. And there are
Oh, cool.
some really cool, really amazing tracks in there.
I look forward to the day when I have heard them all. I'm sure there are music tracks. It's cool when you enter like little side rooms, on your descent, which are all over the place, right? Like there are all these little secrets, and it's procedurally generated, so it's like really cool how organic the secret finding feels. Um, but when you go into those little side rooms, the main music from like the area that you've just escaped still plays, but it plays like it's in the other room,
Oh, that's awesome.
which is it's a fun little like audio effect placed on there. Is very, very pleasing, where like it's all quieter but like the bass seems just as loud. So like when your neighbor next door is playing music and like all you can hear is the thumping of the bass,
Uh-huh.
it's very funny and very effective.
So I've been checking out Beyond Oasis. I know last week that I said, I was super into Salmon Run and Splatoon 3 and that I want to team up with friends, and a few people on the Discord volunteered. Thank you so much. I still want to do that this week. I was traveling. It was just a little bit crazy. But hopefully we'll be able to party up soon. But while I was traveling and didn't have a lot of time to go online, I have been playing Beyond Oasis, which is a Sega Genesis game that was recently added to the Nintendo Switch Online Sega Genesis library, and which I know from reputation is like a good Zelda-like game, which an adventure game like that is fairly rare on the Sega Genesis, or that's my understanding anyways. But I am really enjoying what I've played of Beyond Oasis, and I
Oh.
think I want to like keep going. I will say, for me coming into it, the kind of like learning curve, I guess I'll call it, of an adventure game on the Genesis took a little bit of getting used to, because in my head it's like, oh, a Zelda like, and when I think of that, I think of a lot of the indie games nowadays that, pretty closely ape what a Super Nintendo Zelda game looked like and felt like, and like the perspective and all that kind of stuff. And Beyond Oasis is not really like that. It feels much more like an arcade game, and it like
Oh, interesting.
the
Like
sprites
more
are,
like Gauntlet.
well, I guess what I mean by that is like it presents itself more in like an arcade game, like, think of Link to the Past and how small the character sprites are in that game and how much of the world you're seeing. And Beyond Oasis is not like that. Like it is more like like the perspective of Golden Axe or something like that. And the characters, like your character moves kind of with the chunkiness of like a Golden Axe character,
Yeah.
which is just like, like little things that I wasn't really used to, and in the beginning was kind of a turnoff. But the more that I've gotten into it, and I'm not that far, I've maybe played like 2 hours, the more you just kind of get used to the rhythms of the game and are able to appreciate it on its own terms. And it's not, it's not a straight up like Zelda ripoff. The RPG elements, I would say, are like a little bit heavier, and all of the enemies have health bars and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying it. There are elements of it that are like, all right, this does feel a little. I mean, I guess maybe they're just generic fantasy tropes. So you play as Prince Ali, which I was like, huh. This game came out in the North America in 1995, and I think Disney's Aladdin cartoon came out in 1992. So
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like maybe that's what was influencing the character's name in English. But you find this gold gauntlet, and the power of the gold gauntlet talks to you and says, there's a silver gauntlet out there that is being wielded by a bad guy. So you need to go collect like the 4 or 5 different like essences from around the world, and they are elemental based in order to um
So you're Thanos?
yeah. So but yeah, I am enjoying it, and it is so different from any other type of like game that I've experienced on the Genesis, which generally are, it's so like arcade focused or platformers or that sort of thing. Like during last December I was playing Strider, which is so different from something like this, which is a little more like methodical and um
Yeah.
a real kind of like world to explore. But I'm kind of digging it.
I really like that sort of it feels like to me and probably to you as well because neither of us had Genesises growing up, that like it looks like you're getting an alternate look into like history, right? Like what if Zelda games were made in like a way where the Zelda formula hadn't been established already, right? Like you were talking about comparing it to either a Link's Awakening or other games that sort of like ape that style, and it's just like no, they were just trying to make a similar game and just like made different rules. And I think about my experience with Phantasy Star 4, which we did I did last December as part of our Genesis month, or a couple weeks of playing Genesis games, and how it has a lot of the same qualities as like RPGs that were coming out of like Square Enix, or just Square, I guess, at that time, and Enix. But it's also just like the language it uses is so specific and different, and you just have to like find out the ways in which it's different and adapt to it.
Yeah, totally.
And then the other thing that I was playing this week, Mark, was Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, which I was playing so I could be on Connor McCabe's Call Me By Your Ball game. I believe that episode is going to come out this Wednesday. Connor and Jeremy and I talked about Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, which was an absolute delight for me to revisit and like put more time into some of those mini games that I hadn't really dug into when the last time you and I were sort of playing it and talking about it on the show. What a cool game! It remains one of the most effective like displays of what the 3DS can do. Like there are so many times where the 3D itself is like a vital part of the game to like judge the depth and like when to actually swing at something. The way it uses like the gyro for like catching stuff. Using the touch screen to call balls and strikes in the umpire minigame. It's such a the thing that's like novel about it is the buying and bartering, sort of like conceit of the game. But there's just so much fun to actually be had playing the mini games themselves. Which is because I had already played through the whole story mode. That's all I had to do with it at this point, which is like play mini games, and that's how I spent almost like all of my Sunday. I went for a bike ride, I played mini games, recorded a podcast. It was the best.
I've got to say, Patrick, anthropomorphic lady presenting automatic pitching machine for Smash. Whatever the next Smash version is, it needs to be in there as a fighter.
Yeah, that's right. The wearing high heels and with the Nintendo Ultra Machine for a head.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's absolutely should be the next character in Smash Brothers. All right, Mark, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
So last week, Bethesda surprise released the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Anniversary Edition on Switch. This is something that we had seen rated in a few different places, but hadn't heard anything about. Was kind of expecting there'd be some sort of announcement, but no, they just dropped it on Switch. So the Anniversary Edition includes what the quote, a decade worth of content, the critically acclaimed core game, and add-ons of Skyrim Special Edition, plus pre-existing and new content from Creation Club, including quests, dungeons, bosses, weapons, spells, and more. And Creation Club is when Skyrim officially opened up the game to the modding community on like consoles as well as PC. So it seems like they've taken some of the best content from Creation Club and included it in the anniversary edition since the Switch version doesn't have access to the full library.
Hmm.
Interestingly, this release is digital only and $70 new.
Ooh.
$20 upgrade if you own the Switch version already. But kind of interesting price point for a game as old as Elder Scrolls. Or sorry,
Uh,
Skyrim.
Especially when like a $20 upgrade from. So could you not buy the Switch version for like, or did they delist it?
Yeah,
The Switch version.
I don't know actually. I'm guessing you can still buy the base Switch version if you want. But in fact, yeah, I genuinely don't know. Yeah, I think I saw somewhere that maybe that is how you access it. Like you either get the
Mm.
this bundle, like the anniversary edition which has both, or cuz basically what they did is they updated the base game. So if you like the base game got like an 8 gig patch or something crazy like that.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so that's what unlocks. So maybe all that's available now is the anniversary edition. I don't know for sure.
Mark, did you mess around with Skyrim on Switch back in the early days?
I did. I did not do like the full campaign or anything because I had already done that on other platforms. But I did it released on Switch. I bought it and was very excited to have portable Skyrim for sure.
Remember how Skyrim was one of the like titles that they demoed in that like first video that went out about it?
Yeah, absolutely. A guy like playing it on an airplane. That
Yeah,
was
that's
a
right.
big deal.
Man, I guess even if you're buying Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim on Switch right now, it is normally $60.
Huh.
I just feel
So,
like it's got to be way cheaper everywhere else, right?
oh yeah, it does seem like it has to be on Steam. You know, it feels like it must go on sale all the time.
I'm going to this Steam page for Skyrim. You keep going through the new releases,
All
Mark.
right. Today, October 4th, Overwatch 2 is released on the Switch eShop. And Thursday, October 6th, near uh, Automata, the end of Yorha edition is released. I doubted myself for a moment. I was like, is it like Automata? Maybe it is that. I don't know.
I've heard both. I've heard both Near Automata and Near Automata.
So
So
maybe nobody knows.
maybe
And
nobody knows.
and
Yes.
then October 7th on Friday, No Man's Sky is released on Switch.
That's the physical version of that, right?
Yes, I actually think it's both. So I think
Oh,
it's
okay.
it has not been available on the eShop previously. I think this is the first time that it is coming to Switch. So we are definitely hitting, like that end of the year momentum where big releases are happening multiple times a week.
Um, including Overwatch 2. Does it feel like for as big of a game as Overwatch 2 should be that like it just sort of quietly came out? Does this feel like a quiet launch of this game to you?
It does kind of. I feel like as someone who is not tapped into the Overwatch community, it does feel like Blizzard has kind of spoiled away a lot of the goodwill the original Overwatch had, and they
Yeah.
are completely sunsetting the original Overwatch. I saw somebody on kind of explaining it on the internet, kind of explaining it as Blizzard really chased the esports aspect of Overwatch, maybe to the detriment of the overall community. I don't know enough about it to really have an opinion, but yeah, it does feel like Overwatch 2 is kind of coming out with a little bit of a whimper.
It's so like Overwatch 2 is so, and just Overwatch in general is so strange to me because like I do think that the like character designs and the character movesets and like the sort of world of Overwatch are very cool and fun. Like and I played the original Overwatch for, like a couple months when it came out. And like enjoyed it, but that's just not my like speed of gaming is like always playing online competitive stuff. And I was hopeful that there would be like another kind of Overwatch game that would just be like a single player experience or a co-op, whatever. And like yeah, I guess the allure of the esport version of this thing is just too strong to it's like how we're never going to see a real-time strategy Warcraft game ever again because World of Warcraft has just replaced it.
Right.
Um, So yeah, it's games evolve away from my tastes, and then I'm like, no. Skyrim, the special edition on Steam is $40. The anniversary edition is 50. So you can save $20 by getting it on Steam instead of on Switch.
Huh? That's more expensive than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, me too. I'm surprised by that. We kind of glossed, or I made us go all the way back to Overwatch. Are you interested in picking up Nier Automata?
So I just don't think I have time to play it. That's really what it comes
Yeah.
down to. I've heard such good things, and now that it's on Switch, I definitely could. Maybe I'll put it on my watch list for when it goes on sale someday
There you go.
to pick it up. But yeah, I just don't think I'm gonna have time right now.
I love the way the names of these games are written. That like the R at the end of Nier is capitalized, and then also there are some weird intercaps in Yorha. The end of Yorha edition, the R and the H in the middle of that word are also capitalized.
It does look like. Are your kids texting you about Yorha? Learn what it means tonight at 10.
Mark, I'm not going to tune into that report. I'm sorry. Those are the new releases. Let's close out this segment. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers did not play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, I believe you have a quiz for me.
Yes, continuing. I guess this is now 2 weeks of quizzes.
2.
I have a Halloween-based quiz for you. So this BuzzFeast quiz is going to help us determine, Patrick, what your Halloween costume will be this year.
Okay. Mark, can I make a prediction? The costume will be nothing. I won't dress up.
Well, I guess we'll see what the quiz says. So,
Yes,
Patrick,
we'll see.
which Halloween chocolate is superior? Milky Way Midnight, Pumpkin Pie Kit Kat, Butterfinger Pumpkins, Reese's Pumpkins, Snickers Jack-O-Lantern, or Twix Ghosts?
I mean, is this is there a trick here? It's the Reese's Pumpkin.
Okay. Bold move. Pick a Halloween movie to watch tonight. Halloween from 1978. The Nightmare Before
Wait, hold
Christmas.
on. It's tonight? Like after we're done recording? This is
That's
I have
right.
to pick to watch tonight. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So consider your mood. Take your temperature.
Yep, thank
Halloween
you.
from 1978. The Nightmare Before Christmas. You don't need the years. Hocus Pocus. The Haunted Mansion. That one's from 2003, in case you're wondering. Halloween Town. And then The Addams Family, the movie from the early 90s.
Oh, I'm going Addams Family all the way, man. That movie's impeccably well cast. Raul Julia as Gomez. The rest.
Where is the best place to go trick-or-treating? In a city, my small neighborhood, a friend's bigger neighborhood, a place further from home with more houses, a fancy neighborhood with fewer houses but better candy, or a neighborhood with more candy but it's lower quality?
What is that neighborhood where there's more candy but at a lower quality? Also, is it more candy per house, or is it just a densely populated area? No, you could go to the fancy neighborhood. Go to the rich
fancy
neighborhood, and it's also funny. The city or my small neighborhood, when it's like I live in the city.
How are you spending Halloween this year?
Ugh.
Going to a costume parade, watching scary movies, going to a small socially distanced party, going trick-or-treating, giving out candy on the porch, or scaring trick-or-treaters?
Geez. Halloween is on a Monday this year, so you and I will be recording an episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. But I'll say scaring trick-or-treaters.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Pick a scary animated movie. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. It doesn't say
Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
Okay.
Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. It's so good. Mark, have you seen Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island?
I haven't. I have
It
not.
rules. It's a very good. It subverts the Scooby-Doo thing in that they are actually dealing with a supernatural phenomenon. It's great.
Oh, funny. I think finally, maybe? No, it's not. Pick the candy that you absolutely don't want. Necco wafers, Bit of Honey, Smarties, Tootsie Rolls, candy corn, or black licorice.
So I loathe black licorice and candy corn, but I'm gonna go with. Oh shoot! What was the one right before those two?
Tootsie Rolls?
Tootsie
Smarties?
Rolls. I don't like them. Tootsie Rolls
Wow.
are gone. I
Okay.
don't need them.
Pick a Halloween TV special to watch with your family.
Okay.
Friends, the one with the Halloween party. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Halloween. It's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. The Simpsons, Treehouse of Horror 5. The Office, Halloween. And Stranger Things, Trick or Treat, Freak.
So it's probably I can't remember off the top of my head which is Treehouse of Horror 5, but it's probably that one.
Okay, I think it's the one with like the Shining
Okay. All right.
um
So The
parody.
Shining, the time traveling Homer, and uh the uh the cannibal cafeteria one.
I think
Nightmare
so.
Cafeteria, I believe is what it's called.
Pick a candy that you do want. Sour Patch Kids, Skittles, Nerds, M&Ms, Jolly Rancher, or Starburst.
Starburst.
Okay, and then finally, pick a movie about witchcraft. The Witches from 1990, The Blair Witch Project, Into the Woods, The Wizard of Oz, Harry Potter, or Kiki's Delivery Service.
I'm gonna go Into the Woods on this one.
Okay.
I've been letting that spin a little bit. I've been in another like Sondheim kick, so I've been listening to it.
Oh, perfect timing because
That's our
Patrick,
timer.
you are a mummy. The perfect last minute costume. Just throw some toilet paper on and you're set.
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds like the level of commitment I have to dressing up for Halloween. We were accompanied today by a timer on my phone. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
A couple of months ago, we talked about Nintendo acquiring a small Japanese company called Dynamo Pictures with the intent of renaming it Nintendo Pictures and using the studio to produce visual content based on Nintendo IP. Did some air quotes there because we don't know what that means. Dynamo
Right, because you could argue really easily with little effort that Nintendo is already very good at making visual content.
Yeah, so Dynamo Pictures, they historically, previous to this acquisition, did a lot of like motion capture. They did, like cutscenes for games. I think they had worked on a couple of like animated anime TV series, but generally like in the game space, more kind of like yeah, like I said, motion capture and video game cutscenes. They worked on like Other M and a couple of other
Right.
Nintendo games as well. So Nintendo picked them up, intended to call them Nintendo Pictures. We don't really know what they're going to be working on, but we do know that the acquisition officially closed, and there's a brand new Japanese website to prove it. Absolutely no new details on what we can expect.
No new details.
Out of
None
Nintendo
whatsoever.
Pictures. But the company is gearing up to go on a hiring spree. They even have a place on the website where you can inquire for more details. Also, interestingly, Yoshiaki Koizumi is listed as one of the directors on the board of directors for the company. So it's been acquired by Nintendo, but seemingly is still going to operate as its own business.
Yeah, but with Koizumi on the board of directors. Yeah, so we talked about this a little bit at the time that it was announced that they were going to acquire them. But I still I wonder how much of what they're doing now sort of like hinges on, or what they're going to do hinges on the end result of this Mario movie.
Yeah, like we've talked about before, Chris Meledandri, who's the chairman of Illumination Entertainment, is now a director on the board of Nintendo. And so it seems, and Nintendo has this relationship with Illumination Entertainment. So it seems unlikely to me that Nintendo Pictures will be getting into a competing space with Illumination
Right,
Entertainment,
yeah.
because if that's the case, Chris Meledandri obviously has a conflict of interest being on the board of Nintendo. So, but this will shock everybody. I'm also not a business genius, so maybe that's not an issue. I don't know.
Maybe conflicts of interest don't matter anymore.
Right. So it'll just be really interesting to see what comes of this in the future.
Yeah, well, and if this is really just more like studio support for their for games that they're making, so they can actually help with like cutscenes and motion capture and stuff like that. It would make sense to have all of that under one roof, right? That like all of their development partners can access the same tools for making more impressive cutscenes, either more quickly or less expensively, or whatever. There are many applications for this that aren't make movies or TV shows or whatever.
Right, definitely. Product pages for action figures based on the characters in the Super Mario Brothers animated movie coming next year from Jack's Pacific, a toy company, were briefly spotted on Amazon. There were pages for Mario, Luigi, Bowser, and Toad. The pages didn't include images, and as of the time of this recording, they have been taken down.
Pages are gone. The pages don't exist anymore. This was a flash in the pan. Someone put them up too early or what? But Mark, this made me realize something that I had not really thought about or considered at all. That we don't know what the design aesthetic of this movie is. We don't know if the Mario characters are going to look like, like we have such a clear image in our mind of like Mario looks like this. And especially with like every like Nintendo sports game and like the it all uses that same sort of like new Super Mario Brothers aesthetic. Will we see that here, or what are we going to see? Like what are these characters going to look like?
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I just assumed in my head that it was going to look like a cutscene from, like Mario Odyssey or something. But you're right.
Yeah.
We have not seen anything. We have not seen a single frame from this movie, a single character design. The only thing that I think we've officially seen at all is the question mark block in the teaser, or in like the
that
press
poster,
release or whatever, that was saying, hey, we're going to show the first Mario movie teaser footage at New York Comic Con this coming Thursday.
Right. So we are obviously living in like a very small interval right now between when we, and again, I think we'll see something of this movie. I don't know that we're gonna see Mario. Like, I think we may just see the Mushroom Kingdom, and maybe we'll see like boots or like a mustache or something.
If it even takes place in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just wild. Like seeing that there were these pages for the action figures just made me realize how little we know about this movie, and how much our assumptions, just based on our hyper familiarity with the source material, is feeding what could be. Like, I think it's possible that they'll show us something interesting and unique and maybe even kind of cool, and we'll hate it because it's different.
I kind of, now that you've brought this up as a possibility, like, I almost hope that it is kind of radically different, because then it'll be, whether good or bad, easy to like divorce from the other Mario stuff.
Yeah, totally. I mean, just like think about the other things out there, especially in film and television, that have borne the Mario name, and how little those look like what we think of as Mario.
Yeah. Man, that this is going to be really interesting. And also, as you point out, like, we don't, in the show notes, we don't know the name for the movie yet. I think Nintendo just officially refers to it as the Super Mario movie currently, but I mean, I guess, Nintendo DS codename to console name Nintendo DS, so maybe it'll just end up being the Super Mario movie, but I do wonder if there's more to be revealed there as well.
I mean, that could also just be them, because Nintendo is weird in the way it refers to their products, right? Like, they don't say a new update to Splatoon 3. They say a new update to the Splatoon 3 game, and they always say it like that, and they're the only company who does it, and I don't know why. But yeah, so them calling it the Super Mario Brothers movie, or the Super Mario movie, or Super Mario Brothers.
Not Brothers, just Super Mario.
Not Brothers. Okay, all right.
But we know Luigi's in it. Maybe Luigi's
and it's
not his
Charlie
brother.
Day. Mark, how dare you?
I take it back. It can't be.
Okay, thank you.
I refuse to believe it. The physical retail version of Bayonetta 1 came to store shelves in North America last week as scheduled, but the release was pushed back at the last minute for the UK and Europe. And we don't know why, and no solid new release date has been revealed. But on their social channels, Nintendo communicated that they are, quote, now aiming to release the physical edition of Bayonetta in the first half of October, exclusively on My Nintendo Store.
Which is an interesting, strange development. I don't really know what to attribute that to. Supply chain stuff is weird, especially in Europe. So maybe that's just what's to blame. But yeah, it's a bummer that it's late and only through the My Nintendo My Nintendo store.
Both, also interestingly, both Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2 received patches last week that include in-game display and subtitle options for Korean, Chinese, and simplified Chinese. The first time that those games have received it, which kind of makes sense only in the sense it makes sense that they are adding these because in the past 10, 15 years, like markets outside of Japan in Asia have just exploded in growth. You know, uh Nintendo has partnered with Tencent, I think the company is, you're right, to like
Hmm.
officially release the Switch in China, in mainland China. And so there's just we've just seen more and more of this where more languages are supported natively in all of Nintendo's games.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting to see them like go back for Bayonetta 1 and 2, likely in a move to make, to build an appetite for the new one for Bayonetta 3, which comes out this month, right?
Yeah,
Like
just a couple of weeks at this
just
point.
a couple weeks. So yeah, they are positioning themselves to really like move this thing around the world.
Ed Sheeran is contributing a new song to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The video for the song Celestial alternates between like footage of Sheeran going throughout his day and this animated fantasy of him living in a Pokemon world. Like Charmander cooking his breakfast and stuff like that. I really like the animated parts of this video. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, I also really like the animated parts of this video. And thought it was fun. Although, see, I have so little exposure to Ed Sheeran just as like an artist in general. That my first thought was of remember when he was on Game of
Oh
Thrones?
my gosh, Patrick, that's exactly what I thought of as well.
He's just in one episode of Game of Thrones, just like sitting around a fire and like singing a song. So like, I mean, hey, Ed Sheeran, if you can flex like that and like be on Game of Thrones and do a Pokemon song, like, good on you, buddy.
Yeah, living the good life.
There was something in this video that made me laugh out loud. He's in the recording studio, towards the end of the video, and a Pikachu, like a little cartoon Pikachu, is at the mixing board and just like pushes a slider up.
I love it. It expands the Pikachu mythos. You have Detective Pikachu, like
Right.
Pikachu's with jobs. Detective Pikachu, Sound Engineer
Sound engineer
Pikachu.
Pikachu. Yeah, that's good. It's good. It's a good kind of Pikachu. Another thing I clocked about this the music video here is that it is right at the end when like the animation style changes to be, because most of the cartoon portions are like not anime looking. They're in like a Western style of animation. But at the end when it does get into like anime portions and like Ed Sheeran is the Pokemon trainer, it adds a couple more like more recent Pokemon, like starters I think from Sword and Shield. But other than that, it's all just Gen 1 Pokemon.
Which is so interesting for a song that's going to be featured in the newest
In the
Pokemon
new
game.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
And the only like we see there's like a purple Game Boy Color on the table that presumably Sheeran is playing Pokemon on. But it's a Game Boy Color. It's not a Switch. It's not even a 3DS. Like it's totally a nostalgia play. And maybe that's why it worked for me at all. But yeah, it's just interesting that like this is the thing that goes along with the new Pokemon game, and it's just so backwards looking.
The next upcoming tour in Mario Kart Tour will, for the first time, feature a battle mode. The battle tour kicks off today, Tuesday, October 4th, and includes the GBA Battle Course 1 and GameCube's Cookie Land from the Double Dash game.
Crazy to think that battle mode wasn't included before. But I guess like kind of makes some bit of sense because Mario Kart 8, vanilla Mario Kart 8, had battle mode, but it was all on regular tracks. Like they didn't have battle mode
Right.
arenas until Mario Kart 8 Deluxe like went back and fixed it, so you could actually do battles that made sense. I don't know, Mark. Do you screw around with battle mode on Mario Kart like at all anymore? I just I am always just in it for the racing at this point.
Yeah, if I play online, I only play battle mode. I don't like doing the races online because I am
You
bad.
only do battle mode.
Oh yeah, because I can actually have fun in battle mode. Because they're just complete chaos. So yeah, if I'm playing online, I do battle mode. It's interesting. So my experience, I played so much battle mode as a kid on like Mario Kart 64 and even the GameCube one to a certain extent, but definitely Mario Kart 64. So battle mode is such a huge part of my Mario Kart experience that the fact that it's almost become like an afterthought for Nintendo in these last couple of entries is just really interesting to me because for me, battle mode is like I look to that in a Mario Kart game. Like that's an important aspect of it to me. So I haven't messed around with with Tour for many years now on at this point, but I am glad that it's being added to the game. And to me, it makes it feel like more like a complete Mario Kart experience.
Man, that's so wild to me that like I was like, oh yeah, I think of it as an afterthought, and I was like, who doesn't? And then you were like, bam, I don't. And I was like, oh, I'm being confronted with a reality different than the one I expected. But also, Mark, this is another example of the video game that you love evolving away from the thing you loved about it, right? Like, um, so that's just an interesting. We've got little parallels running along here throughout the episode, Mark, and I like it.
Finally, Nintendo has updated the Nintendo Switch Online app to version 2.3.0. It includes the main new feature is widgets for Splatnet, where you can add them to like your home screen, which is a big feature of, or like your lock screen, a big feature of the new iOS update for iPhones last month. So the widgets for Splatnet allow you to see the stage schedule or current gear or battle logs or albums, which is I think a pretty cool addition. It's nice to be able to just like look at your phone and see what stages are up right now without having to either go into the app or into the game.
Yeah, it's with these new widgets and just like with the Splatnet 3 functionality like as it is like they're getting closer and closer the Nintendo Switch Online app being like a useful companion to the game. I mean, I think it probably is useful, but it could be like even more revolutionary. It's just it's neat to see them like actually approaching this finally. And it also makes me wonder like are these kinds of services and stuff available for other games like not Nintendo games but like are do they build like this sort of functionality? We were just talking about Overwatch 2. Is there like an Overwatch 2 app that like helps you see like what I guess all the stages are available all the time, but
Yeah, when the example that comes to mind is when I was playing a ton of Destiny a few years
yeah.
ago. Um, Bungie had like a pretty fully featured Destiny app, so you could see like where Zur was, which is kind of like a merchant that shows up occasionally, like at when he was there, and just like you could get information on the latest updates and all that kind of stuff. So it is nice to see Nintendo kind of playing in this space, and I feel like just like we've seen with the Nintendo Switch Online application on the Switch itself, where they added rewards, where you can earn platinum points, and the new like user icons that you can earn and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Like they are slowly, I feel like, putting effort there, which is nice to see.
Can we talk about those icons for a second? Because I've been obsessed with collecting the NES ones. So there was a period of like I think it was all September where every week they had a different set of like 8-bit and like NES hardware icons. So like, they had the Famicom, they had controllers, they had the NES, they had the like re-release of the NES with the like the dog bone controller, and then like 8-bit sprites from Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 3, Balloon Fight, Zelda, Donkey Kong, a bunch of different NES games. And I was Mark, every time that they would change, I would just go in there and clear them out. I think I got every single one of these things. I have 76 icons from the NES collection, and I just went in today before we started recording because I was like, I'm gonna pick up the new ones because there've been new ones every week. But it seems like it's done. I don't think they're doing them anymore.
Yeah, I think they've moved on. Although it seems like they've occasionally come back to, like games or themes that they've done in the past after a few months. So maybe they will return, or maybe they'll move on to like Super Nintendo sprites.
That would be cool too. Have you been picking up any of those icons?
I haven't really been messing with it at all. I think I've been rocking the captured Goomba from Super Mario Odyssey for a few years now. But I do think it's nice that they have created this system that, if nothing else, gives like real utility to platinum points, like regular use of platinum points with these like fun little collectible things that are seemingly only for a limited time.
Right now I'm rocking the blue virus from Dr. Mario as my player icon, and I don't ever see me changing it because it's so the viruses are so full of personality, and like they just don't appear in enough stuff, and I love them to pieces. And the blue one just looks, he's like got his little like hand up, and I don't know, he's just cool. I love him. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. That is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and follow us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate it so much when you do. If you like the show, you should share it on Facebook or Twitter or any sharing space that you participate in. That's how people find the show, is you sharing it. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. It's also a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying, somebody likes battle mode. And thank you for listening.